Yeah, sorry about this. Let me share my screen again. So this is the link for installer. Like we can go ahead and we can download the version of MySQL we can use. And anyhow, like we'll be having all the links here that I'll be sharing over the chat. Okay. So this way, like we can download the basic required softwares, which is like Java, Apache Tomcat, and MySQL. And this is pretty common, and we all know it is pretty straightforward. If we go to Google, search for it, we'll get the installers, like whatever the version that we want. So one of the major reason for like talking about the downloads as well is like to understand like how we need to download SailPoint IAQ. So this is something important. Okay. So this SailPoint IAQ, as we have discussed previously, it's not an open source tool. Okay. So all these softwares are open source. Like you need not to pay anything, you need not to pay for any software, or like you can sign in with your personal email if required, and you can download those softwares. But this SailPoint IAQ is not like that. Okay. So in order to download SailPoint IAQ, we need to go to a website called Compass. So this is an site from SailPoint where you have everything related to SailPoint IIQ, like right from the installers to the documents, a forum for discussion, for posting your doubts or for raising a support ticket. Everything will be done in this Compass site only. And the URL for this one is community.sailpoint.com. So this is the URL for like Compass. And in order to download our SailPoint IIQ software, like we need to go to this community. And the problem here is if you try to log in with your personal email ID into this community site, it will not allow you. Okay. So we need to have an official email ID and like your company's email ID. And that too, your organization must be a SailPoint partner. Okay, they must have some partnership with SailPoint, and you must use that email ID only in order to sign up for this community site, and you must use that email ID only in order to log into Compass. So that is the restriction because this is not an open source and it's not that easily available in the market. But if you have your organization's email ID or if you are able to sign up and download, that is well and good. But if not, I can share this installer separately with you, like only the installer's part, and you can make use of that for your lab purpose. Okay. But for at least like if you have the access to community.sailpoint.com, like we must know like where to download, right? So let me show you that. So I'm going to this browser and access community.sailpoint.com. So if this is the first time you are logging in, like you need to like click on sign in, and next to sign in you will see an option for sign up. You have to sign up first. Otherwise, like if you already have an account, like you can directly click sign in. It will ask you for your company's email ID and password, like you can provide it. So I'm going to stop my screen share for a while because like I need to provide the credentials here, like which are sensitive. Let me share my screen one more time. Okay. So this is how the homepage of this community site looks once we log in. So previously it was showing the sign in option. Right now you can see it shows my profile icon because I have logged in with my email. Okay. So once we log into SailPoint, this community, like we can go ahead and download our installers. And here for installers also, like we have two different things. First one is the base version. So we are going to use, let's say IAQ 8.2 P4. Suppose like this is the version of SailPoint that we want to download. So we need to download 8.2 version of SailPoint first, which is a base version. And for this respective base version, which is 8.2, there will be so many patches available separately. We need to download that patch separately. Okay, so basically, in order to download SailPoint 8.2 P4, we'll be having two installers. Okay, so one is the base version and the other one is patch version. So now let's see how we can download the base version of SailPoint. We'll go to Compass, and within the Compass, we'll go to this products and services. And under this products and services, we need to go to IdentityIQ server software. Okay. So after going to this IdentityIQ server software, you can see there are so many things related to IdentityIQ. So which is an on-premise one. And here, the first option that we have is product downloads. So let's go to product downloads. So here we have the versions of SailPoint available. You can see we have version 8.2, version 8.3, 8.4. So 8.4 being the latest version of SailPoint IdentityIQ available in the market. So this is possibly something like you need to like remember at least. Suppose like if you are sitting for any interview, they might ask you like what is the latest version available and what is the current version you are using, all these. So you know the information. So first we need to download the base version, which is 8.2. You can see there is something called IdentityIQ 8.2. So this is the base version. So just click on it. And after clicking this, you can see this is IdentityIQ 8.2. And it is saying the release notes, like what are the new features or modified features present in this version, what are the differences, everything. Suppose like you are upgrading from any other version to 8.2, instead of installing it in freshly, you have some notes regarding that, like some points to consider for upgrade. So if you go through all of this, and at the end, we have this download section. And under this download section, we have this IdentityIQ 8.2 zip. So this is what we need to download. So if you click on this, it will download that zip file for us. Okay. So this is the base version of SailPoint IIQ, which will initially come as a zip. So when it is coming as a zip file, it is not the actual installer. Okay. So if you unzip that, you will see a lot of files, supporting documents, some scripts, everything will be there inside that zip along with our installer. Okay, so this is a like bundle of installer and the supporting documents and some supporting scripts. So this is what we need to download in order to download the base version of SailPoint. Okay, so once you have downloaded it, then we need to go for the patch. Okay. So again, I'm landing on the same page, like where it says like IdentityIQ server software. And here you can see it is saying IdentityIQ for 8.2 P7. It means patch 7. But we need something like patch 4. So how to get it? So if you go and click on view previous releases, you can see we have 8.2 P7, 8.2 P6, 8.2 P5. All these are present. So they are only keeping the latest version on the top and other versions are being archived. So every time, like if we have the patch latest one available, like we can go ahead and use that. But to be specific for our practice purpose and for lab purpose, like we'll choose some previous versions. So if let's say like if our target is 8.2 P4, we have this one, IdentityIQ 8.2 P4. So let's click on this. And if you go to the bottom under downloads, we have this IdentityIQ 8.2 P4 jar. So patch sets will always be available as jars only. It always comes with a jar extension. So we already discussed this jar stands for Java archive. It's nothing but a set of files and folders that contains the details of this patch, which is like kept together and which is kept together in a compressed format. So that compressed format is nothing but jar. Java archive. So if you click on this one, like it will download that. You simply have to say accept and submit, like it will download your jar file. Okay. So this is how we basically download the base version of SailPoint IAQ and also the patch for this one. Okay. And with this, like the way we download our SailPoint, it's done like we have understood that. But here we can see only from 8.2 to 8.4. And is it all the versions available in SailPoint means? No. So we have 8.0, 8.1, 7.6. All these versions of SailPoint is also available. But the reason why those versions are not present is like these are not supported by SailPoint anymore. Okay, so when the version keeps going upward, the providers, like the product providers, drops support for few of the like previous versions. They will ask them to come to the latest versions. Okay, so in a similar way, as of now, 8.2 is the latest, I mean, the oldest base version supported by SailPoint, and the latest version is 8.4. Okay, so if you, for practice purpose, or if you have anything in particular about any of the older versions, you can see in this very same page, we have archives. So if you go to download archives, then you will see all of those. You can see 8.1, 8.2. You can see 7.3 is also available. So this way, all the archived versions of like all types of softwares will be available about SailPoint IAQ. You can go ahead and download any of them. Okay. So once you download all of these softwares, like basically this is how it looks. Okay. So if you go to this is how basically the installers looks. For example, you will have the JDK installed. I mean, the installer downloaded, and after that you will be having the Apache Tomcat, and after that you will be having the MySQL, and after MySQL you will be having the base version of the SailPoint IAQ, and next to that base version you will have a patch. Like patch will be available as a jar file, but I already like extracted it. I deleted the jar, but you'll have the contents directly. Okay, so this is how basically it should look. Yeah, we have the patch also. You can see the jar file. So this is how your installers should look to be ready for installation of our SailPoint IIQ. Okay. So any doubts so far? And especially with respect to like downloading our SailPoint IIQ? Any questions? Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, no questions. Thank you.
Okay. So confirm me. Okay. So as we have the installers in hand, let's get started with our installation, and we'll see how we'll go with our installation step by step. In order to understand that, let's go about our architecture diagram one more time. So this is the architecture diagram like we have discussed, right, at very high level. So first, Windows server or Linux server, we are going to use our laptop, like our Windows operating system, Windows 10 is going to serve as the same. So the next one that we are going to install is Java, like which is a supported platform. So let's go ahead and install Java. Okay. So as I already have these major softwares installed, like I'll give you a high level walkthrough of those installation, because those are pretty much straightforward and also like well known. Even if you go to YouTube or somewhere, like we'll get the tutorials for getting it installed. So I don't want to put much effort there, but my major focus will be on our SailPoint IIQ only. Okay. So anyhow, like to give a high level walkthrough, let's go through it. For example, if we have the installer for SailPoint this Java available. So just give double click on this. Simply double click on the Java installer, and every time, if possible, while installing any software, you try to run that software in administrator mode. Okay. So that basically helps you to overcome any of the permission issues that we have. So let's say like run in administrator mode. So this is already, it says like this version is already installed, but basically it gives you a prompt, right? So it asks you to accept the license, and it asks you for the installation path. So the steps are pretty much same. Like you simply have to go with defaults, like whatever may be the prompt that is coming, the pop-up window that is coming, simply accept, click next, next, next till the installation is completed. Okay. The only thing that you note during your installation is, so there will be a particular point in your installation where it shows you the installation path. Okay, it basically tells us like boss in the C drive. So this is the particular path in which I'm going to install your Java. So you need to note that path. So that is something important. Okay, so it looks something like this. Because if you go ahead in the C drive, mostly under program files, it will be installed. So under program files, there will be a folder called Java created, and in that it will create the version of Java you have installed. So there will be a folder with JDK followed by the version number. Okay. So this is what you need to take. So after installation of Java, we need to do something called path setting. Java home path setting. So we need to do this. We need to do the path setting. Okay. So in order to do the path setting, first we need to know the, the path where Java is installed. So for the very same reason, I asked to note down the path during your installation. If it pops up like, okay, so this is the path where you are going to like see your Java, then we need that. Otherwise, like if you installed it, like well and good, not a problem. Like go to C drive, program files, you will see a folder called Java. Inside the Java, you will see a JDK folder with version of Java you have installed. Let's say like you have installed JDK 21. So open it and copy this path. So copy the path till here. So till JDK. Okay. So this path we are going to use for path setting in our system. Okay. So copy this path, and in your system itself, right? If you go to this PC and if you give a right click on it, you will see something called properties. So under properties, you will see some advanced system settings. You can see after clicking on properties, you will see advanced system settings. We'll go to this advanced system settings, and under this one, we'll go for environment variables. Here, we need to add the path. For example, if you see, I already have the path added, but you need to check it. And if you don't have this path already added, so this is the place where you need to add the path. Okay. So you need to add it in both the places. One is system variables and another one is user variables. Okay. So in order to add the path, simply click new, give a name. So most possibly we'll give the name something like this in uppercase Java underscore home. So home in the sense like this is the parent directory where we have the Java installation. So after giving the name, like go to this path variable value and simply put the path you have copied. Okay. And say okay. So as I already have it, like I'm not selecting okay, but this is how you add it. You need to add the same thing in the system variables as well. Okay. And also we'll have some other one another variable here called path. If you edit it, where is that one? 1 minute. So there will be one another thing where we need to add it. Just checking. Yes. So under system variables, we have something called path separately. Like even though we are adding Java underscore home as a path variable, like we have something called path. Just select it, edit, and in this you can say new and add that path as well. Here we need not to add the name, but simply put the path, something like this, and simply click OK. Okay. So then it will add your path. Like make sure that after installing Java, you have added a Java underscore home variable under this user variables and a Java underscore home variable under this system, under the system variables like this. And also it is added under this path, which is already present. Okay. So you need to add the installation path of Java under this three places. Okay. So once we have added in three places, then we'll be good with Java. And how we need to verify it, how we can verify whether our Java is successfully installed or not. Okay, that let's see. So in order to verify installation of Java, we need to open command prompt. Okay, so it's not just about verification of Java, but also the path that we have set in order to understand if it is like set completely or not. So in the command prompt, just give this command Java space hyphen version. If you click enter, it must show the version of Java that you have installed. Okay, here the latest version available is like 21.4. And even though I have the other versions available, it is showing this one because in the path setting, I have set this version itself. Okay, if you are able to get this result after giving this Java hyphen version, then we are good. We are good with installation of Java. Okay. So any doubts in this? Any doubts in Java installation?
No, we
It's
good.
it's pretty straight. Anyone like worked on Java installation before?
Yeah,
In
but
some,
Yeah, it did something. Yeah.
okay. So you guys have any idea like why we need will be setting the path? So if you go for any
Yeah,
tutorial, they will
yeah,
install the
because
path of
your products just tend to use Java and then they don't know the location. That's why you set this path to tell exactly which version to use and which location to use, right?
exactly. That's absolutely correct. So we have our binaries here. So all the JDKs, all the like sub softwares that are required in order to run your Java application. So whenever we give any commands through this command prompt, let's say like I have given this command Java hyphen version, right? So if we don't set the path, then after executing this command, it will throw an error saying like Java is not recognized as an internal or external command. The reason being is our system is not aware of the particular location where this Java is installed. So through this path setting, we are explicitly telling that. So when we set the path, whenever any command is executed from the command prompt, first our system will go and look for this command given. Let's say in our case, it looks for Java command in all the paths that are already given in that environment variables. So if it is not available in that environment variables path, then it will throw the command not found error. But if it is present, then it will go and find in those paths and it tries to get this command. Okay, so that is the reason for setting the path. Okay, so this is about installation of Java. So next we'll quickly go ahead and like see the installation of Apache Tomcat. So it is also pretty straightforward. Like we'll go to that installer. I'll try to run it as administrator. You'll click yes. I already have this Apache Tomcat also installed, but I'll see like till what level I can take you. Okay, it popped up. Then I'll simply say next, license agree. And here, whatever is there, like you can leave it to default, but make sure that this Tomcat is selected, because this Tomcat is the actual, like the container for our application. This is the actual web server. So say next, and this is something like you need to note. Okay, you can see the server shutdown port is -1, like which is a default one, and the connector port is 8080. Okay, if you're like well aware of the web servers, and if you know how to configure the ports and all, then if you don't want to use this default port number 8080, you can change the port number here itself. Okay, otherwise, if this is the first time you are working with any of the web servers and you are not sure like what these port numbers are, you can leave it to default, but make a note of this port number. So 8080 is the port number that we are going to use for our installation. So always make a note of them. Okay, let's say like for Tomcat, so port number we are using is 8080. And similarly, it is prompting for an administrator login, which is optional. So this is for logging into our Tomcat GUI. Okay, if you want to ignore it, like you can ignore, but if you are providing any custom username and password, make sure that you are making note of those usernames and passwords as well. Because like we may think that we'll remember all of those things, but the frequency of using those logins are very rare. So we tend to forget it. Okay, so in order to like avoid such problems, it's better like we will save them somewhere. Like this is for practice purpose, so there is no risk in doing that. But in real time, like don't save any passwords in your work environment. We don't recommend that. But for practice purpose, like if you are given this username and password, like make a note of them, and make a note of this one as well. So the Windows service name, it is going to be Tomcat 9. Okay, just click next. Then if you don't have any, like if you don't have this Apache Tomcat already installed, like it will take you to the next installation steps, and it will help you to complete the installation. Okay, I'll show this. As I already have this Apache Tomcat installed, like it is giving me the prompt, but in your case, the installation must progress further, and it will load all the binaries, everything, and finally, like you'll have your Apache Tomcat installed. As we are going to install this Apache Tomcat as a Windows service, the first step for our verification is like to launch the services application in our Windows actually. So if you click on services, it gives you some app like this. So simply click open on this, and you will see the services app launched. Okay. So once the Windows services opens, you must see something like this, Apache Tomcat 9.0. So this is our actually Apache Tomcat's Windows service. Okay. As of now, this is not started. In your case, like once you install it, during the installation itself, the service will start, and you must be seeing the status as services running. But if it is not running, like at least you must be able to see this Apache Tomcat service in your Windows Services app. And once you see, like you can start the application. Okay. So after starting the app, we must be able to access Apache Tomcat homepage from our browser. So this is the second verification that we'll be doing for our Apache Tomcat. So the first step is like to make sure that the Windows service is created in the services app. Okay, so once the service is created, you can start the services, and once the services starts, you can go to your browser and you can provide this URL, HTTP. Always remember, it's only HTTP, not HTTPS. HTTP://localhost 8080. You can see after hitting this URL, localhost colon 8080, I'm able to land on this Apache Tomcat homepage. And this is basically giving me the version of the Tomcat, and it is also giving me the other options like the documentation, manager app, host manager, all of this. So this is basically the Tomcat's homepage. And once you successfully install Apache Tomcat and access the homepage URL, you must land on this homepage. So once this is happening successfully, then we can confirm our Apache Tomcat's installation is successful. Okay. So this is about our Apache Tomcat installation. And about this URL, if we observe this URL that we are using, it says 8080. So this 8080 is nothing but the port number that we have observed during our installation. And how about this local host? What is this local host and why we are using it? Any idea?
We're running locally on our machine.
Yes. So what will be the scenario in real life? Like if we are not in our local mission, if we are in any other mission, so what is the scenario and how does the URL looks?
It will be the company host name, whatever the IP they're given.
Yes,
Or the
it's host name, but it will not be the company's host name, but basically it will be the host name of the machine.
machine.
Okay.
The
Local
application.
IP address.
Local
Local IP address or the machine name, right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
And one question,
basically,
right? So,
yeah,
sorry.
please go.
What are the specs you need to, to be able to install all these things like on a Windows machine, right? How much RAM do you need or a processing power do you need to run all these things?
Yeah, even if you have like 4 GB of RAM, so that will be sufficient enough for installing Tomcat. But it's not just this Tomcat, like we'll be installing other uh, apps as well, right? So I recommend like 8 GB. If you have 8 GB RAM, then it runs smooth. But even if you have 4 GB RAM, that is fine. If you don't have any other heavy softwares installed, it will
Got it.
handle.
Okay.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is just
And
for our
so
practice
8 GB is
purpose.
enough to run SailPoint database and then Tomcat and
Yes.
everything.
Yeah,
Everything, right?
that will be sufficient enough.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So coming back to this one, so it is not just with our web servers or anything. In general speaking, for example, we have like so many softwares running on our machine. Okay. And among those softwares, we will expose some of the softwares as a service to third parties. Okay. So one such service is like this web service. If you host any web application, then we can let other people access those web applications. It's a kind of service that we are offering. Okay. So in order to do that, in order to expose and service to anyone like external, like which is not your basically local host, like you are not consuming the service within your laptop, but you want to expose that to something outside your system, then in that case, we will be like needing few things in order to do that. First thing, that service must be running with a dedicated port number. And first and foremost, like we must be able to identify the machine on which the service is running. So you take any web application or any website. So this is the like underlying fundamental that is present. So if we access any URL, so basically it is going to identify the machine in which that particular service is running. So we can do this using IP address. As IP addresses are complicated to remember, we are using something called host names. So this host name or IP address is nothing but an unique value that is used to identify a particular machine. So that machine could be inside a network, inside an like a private network, or it could be exposed to internet. Anyways, but this is what we are doing at the end of the day. So by using IP addresses and host name, we are going to identify the machine in which the particular service is running. Okay, so local host, it means like my own machine, it is understood. So if I call this Apache Tomcat, the browser, which is a client, it basically understood, it decodes, okay, so local host, which is going to be routed to the same machine. And within the machine, I have n number of services running. I have so many services running on my machine, and how to identify only this Tomcat service. So that is where these port numbers are coming into picture. So we expose each service on a different port. Okay. So by using this port number, after identifying the machine, this port number is used to uniquely identify a particular service that we are looking for. So that is the whole meaning of this URL. So we are basically trying to access a service, and we are telling like in which mission I have this service running, and within this mission, like which port. It means like where to go inside the mission to look for the service. So this is what we basically mean by the host name and also the port numbers. And this is the purpose behind using them. Okay. Okay. So once we are able to launch this Tomcat homepage, it means like our Tomcat installation is completed, like we are good. So if required, like we can go ahead and stop our services as well. I'll go here. I no longer need this. At least as of now, I'll stop the service. Okay. So the next important software for me is my database. So if we see, we have this Apache Tomcat, we have our Java installed, and next the core software is our database server. So let's go ahead and install our database. Okay, similar thing, we'll go ahead and we'll find the installer and we'll run the installer. And if possible, we'll run it as an administrator, and it will take you through all these installation pop-ups. So even I have this MySQL also installed, and this is a generic software, so that's why like I have not uninstalled it, but I'll give you the walkthrough. So just like we have seen for Apache Tomcat, it pops up few port numbers, and it also gives you the paths in which it is going to get installed, and it will also ask you to configure some passwords as well. Okay, so I request like to make a note of all of those things. Okay, so whenever installer upgrade, no, you can see this one is already installed, so that's why like it is prompting me like that. But in your case, you will see the installation paths, and you will also be asked to provide some passwords. Okay, for rest of the things, you can directly go ahead, click next, next, next with the defaults. And whenever you configure any passwords or username, just simply save it. Okay, as simple as that. Then once the installation is completed, like you will have your MySQL installed. Okay, so the next step is verification. In order to verify this MySQL, we need one additional software support. Okay, so that additional software is called MySQL Workbench. So this MySQL Workbench is nothing but an interface for us for interacting with the database. So you can go ahead and you can download that software as well. Okay, from Google itself, you can say download MySQL Workbench. You can go ahead and download any version of this. It's a like small utility, like a small installer. You will get the Windows installer for that. Like go ahead with any version, and once that installer is downloaded, like you can like run it and install. So it will be done. So once you have that MySQL Workbench installed, you will be able to see that from your installers. You can see if I say MySQL Workbench, I will be able to find that software. So in order to verify installation of our MySQL itself, like we need this additional utility. Okay, we can also do it through command prompt. Like if you are comfortable using a database via command prompt, you can check that as well. But as we are not a dedicated DB team, and most of our people are not familiar with the database, like command line queries, like we are going ahead with this software. Okay, so you can open this MySQL Workbench, and once you launch it, it will ask you for like a sign in, and you can see in order to establish the connection, I am going to use this root as a user. So during your installation, it will ask you to set password for root. So you must set the password and you need to remember that password. And you can also see it is also making use of the host number and port number also. The host name is localhost and port number is 3306, which is the default port for MySQL database. Okay. So now I'm going to click on this connection and I will provide the password that I have given during my installation. So soon after giving the password, like I will say okay. So once I click on OK, it will take me to this page. So once I have this, I'm able to land on this page, and if I am able to see the default database, which is the sys database under the schemas, then I can say that I am good with my installation. So I'm good with installation of my MySQL database. Okay. So this MySQL database will also be installed in SailPoint as a Windows service itself. Like if you open the services application, you can scroll down and you will see MySQL 80 as a service name. So this is one another verifications that we can do. If we come to services and if you see this MySQL 80 installed and running, then our MySQL database is installed and it's running as a database service. But in order to access the service, like we'll use this MySQL workbench, and using this MySQL workbench, like we can get the another confirmation that we are good with our MySQL database installation as well. So any questions or any doubts in this? I think these are the common scenarios, but as these are required, like we have gone through that. But still, like if you have any questions, like you can let me know.
Good.
Okay, fine then. So basically, our next step is like directly the installation of SailPoint IIQ. And for the installation also, the path we follow is first we'll install our like base version 8.2. And even this installation also happens, the base version is also happens in two ways. Like first we'll install the web components, and next we will go with the database components. So this is the like a path we follow for base version. And soon after base version, if we are installing the patch, right, like p4 or any other patch, the approach is again same. So for patch also, first we need to go with the web components, and then we'll go with the database components. Okay, so we only have like 8 minutes left, so I want to make use of this time for clouds clarification, and this 8 minutes will not be sufficient for installation of our like actual SailPoint. Okay, so that's why, like as you can see, so we'll use the web component first, then database component, then we'll put a link between these two. So we'll see this SailPoint installation in tomorrow's session, and by this time, like let me quickly ping these URLs to you in order for you to download these softwares. And I will be sharing a drive link where, like, if you are not able to download your SailPoint IIQ, the drive link will contain all the installers, not just this SailPoint. You'll have installers for Java, this Tomcat, and MySQL as well. Okay, you can make use of that drive link also to download your installers, or you can use these things as well. So for lab, like you can get started today itself. Make sure that you have this Java installed and the versions verified, and you have this Tomcat and MySQL also installed. And in tomorrow's session, we'll see the installation of our SailPoint IIQ. Okay. So with this, like I'll stop today's session here, and I will use the rest of the time for our doubts clarification. So not just from today's session, if you have any doubts or confusions from any previous sessions, or you have any generic doubts, like feel free to ask.
No, we can.
Yeah. Okay, then if you guys are good, like then feel free to.
Yeah, can you share that notes file as well? So we have all those links.
Links I have shared in the chat. Like you'll be able to get those links in the chat now.
Okay, yeah, I have this, but for the other ones and all, right? So yeah, I copied this one.
Sorry, which one?
I copied the ones that you kept in chat, but I think you have more notes in every section, right? Setting Java paths and all those things. So if you have that notes, you can share it.
Okay, fine. I'll ping that as well.
Yeah, thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
So that's all for the day.
Yes. So
Yeah.
if you're good, like you can drop, but once you drop, like you will not have access to the chat. So that's why I'm quickly preparing the content to ping in the chat.
Oh, okay, okay. Sure. Thank you.
So it's there. You can check now. So you can make a copy of it. So before we stop.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining. Like let's meet in tomorrow's session. Have a
All
good
right.
rest of the day. Bye.
You too. Bye.